The House's resident Russiagator is now on to a new scandal where he's got all the evidence. I have all the papers. We have all the documents. I got it all. It's actually Adam Schiff and not Alex Jones, even though you might be likely if you couldn't see them in person. He actually kind of looks like if you put Alex Jones in a dehydrator, then you'd end up with Adam Schiff and you just suck out all of the testosterone and fucking inject all the helium you can find. Anyways, evidence Trump responsible for January 6th is very powerful. That's great. Again, you've had 3 different opportunities to investigate January 6th, and you've come up with fuck all. It was the exact same song and dance as motherfucker did for Russiagate the entire time. It doesn't matter that Robert Mueller didn't find anything. I've got the documents. That's nice. You ran how many different impeachments in order to try to get Trump out, but you couldn't find fuck all. But don't worry, guys. We got him this time. Representative of what? A ghost? Adam Schiff said on Sunday on ABC's This Week that the evidence that former President Donald Trump is responsible for January 6th at the Capitol was very powerful. Is it true? Is it real? Who knows? Guess who? Schiff said the evidence is very powerful that Donald Trump began telling the big lie even before they're running back the big lie gimmick. I remember the impeachment. You remember the impeachment? That was fun times. Well, now we get to have impeachment 2, Electric Boogaloo. Well, I guess it's number 3, so at least this is a continuation of the second impeachment. It's funny because anybody else remember what the first impeachment was all about? Something about Ukraine and corruption. I don't know. It completely escapes me at this time. Anyways, and there's no X in escape. Ugh, God, sorry. Anyways, yeah, he began telling that big lie even before the election, that he was saying that any ballots counted after Election Day were going to be inherently suspect. Yeah, exactly. Like you're not supposed, when there's a ballot cutoff date, any ones that come in after that, by the letter of the law, you're not supposed to count them. Just saying, Trump might have a point if that were the case, but you're not supposed. What are you exactly investigating, by the way? Okay, are you investigating the election because somebody should, or are you investigating the picnic? Okay, you know that day at the Capitol where some police officers let some people in. They just said, just make sure to move the rope in case you need more space, and they're like, okay, cool. Mind if we take the speaker's podium? No, just leave it at the front door. Okay, cool. I'm taking this mail though. No, you shouldn't, because we'll put you in jail for 50 fucking years. Anyways, that lie continued after the election and ultimately led to the mob assembling and attacking the Capitol. I think you heard just a few examples what those witnesses have said behind closed doors. Yeah, like Ivanka saying she had no idea what was actually going on, and why do you keep asking me these questions and stop trying to look at my feet? There's a lot more testimony where that came from. Gee, I hope some of it's going to be fucking relevant from people who have firsthand information, and it's not just going to be a big Hollywood produced show trial. Oh wait, we already know what it's going to be. Anchor Martha Raddatz said, let me ask you, is there actually conversations between people in Trump's orbit and the Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers? Probably not, because if they actually had any of those communications beforehand, we would have already seen them during any of the other investigations, so it probably doesn't exist. But Adam Schiff will say it will, because that's his gimmick. He's got all of the documents. He's seen all the information. I know. I've seen the documents. I've done the research. I know what they don't want to tell you. It involves the HARP system. Anyways, Schiff said, well, you know, I think their committee already disclosed there's going to be publicly reported. Of course, there are connections between these white nationalist groups like the Proud Boys, who is organized and run by a guy from Cuba and of black descent, but the white nationalists that are out there, just like Larry Elder, the black face of white supremacy. You'll have to wait until we can get to that point of our hearing, so make sure to stay tuned, because somebody should watch this fucking nonsense. And don't you dare talk bad about this, because you could be like Jack Del Rio, okay? I know this seems like a hard cut, but this is just the dumbest fucking takes I could find on these goddamn show trials, okay? Because you have Jack Del Rio here. He was like the longtime head coach of... Oh, I'm going to get this wrong. Either the Jacksonville Jaguars or the Carolina Panthers. I'm actually going to check. I was right the first time. It was the Jacksonville Jaguars. God damn it. And then he's been, a defensive coordinator, linebackers coach. Okay. He was the defensive coordinator for a couple of seasons for the Raiders. And now he's with the Washington, not Redskins, not football team. What the fuck is they called now? Oh, right. The Redskins. Following the controversy from his comments last week regarding January 6th Capitol Insurrection. Thanks, Sports Illustrated. You wonder why a narrative continues to travel long after it's been debunked? How many people have actually been charged with insurrection? Who the fuck's even calling it an insurrection at this point? All right, mass media. Commander's defensive coordinator, Jack Del Rio, has deleted his Twitter account. Yeah, because the motherfucker got fined not $1,000, not $2,000, $100,000. For what comments, you ask? I'm sure they were terrible. How many N-bombs did Jack Del Rio drop? Del Rio initially commented on the I'll just call it a picnic because it's fun to say via Twitter ahead of congressional hearings, comparing the insurrection to the protests. The protests after George Floyd was killed. Not January 6th. That was literally just a get together of some friends, about 1 million of them. Anyways, a small percentage of that actually got into the Capitol, by the way. A lot of them were also Antifa members, but regardless. Remember, guys, it was an insurrection at the Capitol, but the $2 billion of property damage that happened after the killing or the ascension of St. Floyd to the great fentanyl factory in the sky, those were just protests, right? Fiery, but mostly peaceful protests. Comparing the two is just far too much for big cuck Ron Rivera, the motherfucker who gave himself a nickname and fucking copyrighted it. What a cuck. Anyways, which he called riots, because they were. Multiple times they were designated riots, okay? You remember the pictures from Minneapolis, Portland, Seattle had a couple of autonomous zones, and then it was later an occupied protest, because if it was an autonomous zone, the military could roll up, but New York, Chicago a couple of times had a few riots, so Jack Del Rio was fined for being right. Okay, cool. He later doubled down on his true facts, okay, to the media, leading to more public criticism. By who? Because nobody cares about the NFL anymore. No, it's still great and all that Tom Brady's retiring and then unretiring, kind of doing his own Brett Favre impersonation right now. It's fine. Big ups to Tom. I used to be a big detractor, but now at the end of the day, he's pretty based. Like, outside of that, just the upper management of the NFL is acting a lot like the upper management of MLB by just squashing dissenting thought and bowing down to the woke mob who doesn't give a fuck about your product, okay? Because think of your average football fan. Do you think they have rainbow okay, that's a bad analogy because they do dye their hair when they go to the game, but nobody's going to the games anymore. Have you seen the stands? Because most people want to sit at home and watch Red Zone or their own specific coverage that's out there. So, yes, they dress up in the team's garb, in hundreds of dollars worth of the team's garb, okay? But do they have rainbow colored hair? Okay. Do they have multiple facial piercings? This is, of course, outside of the black hole. I don't know if Las Vegas has it anymore for the Raiders, but back when they were the good original Oakland Raiders, they might have a bunch of piercings and tattoos, but the rest of them, okay, the people that you're trying to pander to, are they 4'2", weighing 400 pounds, okay, just complaining about everything with little fucking knacker draw-ons who yell about the patriarchy? They don't give a fuck about football. That's who the NFL is trying to pander to? Like, what the fuck are we doing here? The entire league is like 75% black, and I'm not even being an over-exaggerator when it comes to this stuff, okay? And then again, you need to reaffirm their existence by saying Black Lives Matter and putting it in the end zone. Yeah, we know. We see the breakdown of the teams, okay? We can all look at the depth charts and realize that Black lives really do matter, and they get paid very well for it. But anyways, back to Jack Del Rio's comments. Sorry, a little bit of a tangent. I think it was necessary, though. Anyways, yeah, so his statements. Let's get right down to it. What did I ask? Del Rio said Wednesday. Simple question. Why are we not looking into those things? The riots in 2020. Good question, Jack. Because it's kind of hard for me to say, and I can realistically look at what I see on TV, people's livelihoods being destroyed. Yeah, and also David Dorn, a black police officer who was shot and killed, okay, a retired police chief in St. Louis. Nobody talks about him anymore, does it? Anybody get arrested for shooting him in cold blood and then also live streaming it on Facebook? Any justice for him? No, of course not. Nope. People's livelihoods and lives being destroyed. Businesses are being burnt down. No problem. And then we have a dust up at the Capitol. Fucking based. Nothing burnt down. Yeah, no, literally like tens of dollars in glass damage. Okay. And we're going to make that a major deal. I just think that's kind of two standards. The man is too base to be in modern day NFL. Oh my God! If he would have made those statements in the 70s, this motherfucker would have got a promotion. He would have been running a fucking team. But now he's getting fined $100,000 because those are just far too many terrible statements. During the attack on January 6th, we're just gonna go ahead and gaslight you on this. 4 people died. Did they? Oh, okay, cool. One was shot. Okay. One was shot by a police officer who was at least 50 fucking feet away, and she was climbing through a window because she was being pushed by a bunch of people behind her who were also being pushed by other SWAT members coming up the stairs. A little bit of a detail right there. Who are the other people? Okay, 2 other people who died not in the Capitol, okay, of dubious circumstances. And then there was another lady who overdosed. But what about Officer Brian Sicknick, who he was bludgeoned with a fire extinguisher at the Capitol? Oh wait, no, he had a stroke afterwards, but that was caused by being struck in the head by a fire extinguisher. Actually, no, there was no signs or symptoms of getting struck in the head with a fire extinguisher, but 4 people died at the Capitol. Okay, and the Capitol suffered $1.5 million in damages. Okay, big X to doubt on that because we know how the government likes to spend. Okay, they probably bought $1.3 million in fucking Glad garbage bags, so they're probably set for the next 3 decades. So don't worry about that. But again, we've seen all the damage that happened, all of the broken down doors. No, couple of panes of glass were broken. That's got to be like at least a couple $1,000, but 1.5 million? Well, a couple of barricades were tossed over. It's like, that's what we've seen so far. And we've only had this information available to us readily for like 17 months at this point, right? But no mainstream media outlets had cameras at the Capitol that day. Me wonders. Anyways, according to the U.S. Department of Justice, who did a thorough investigation on January 6th and found nothing. There were more than 725 arrests, more than 225 people were charged with the crime, and 140 total police officers were assaulted. How many people had their feelings hurt, though? Okay. Do you want to do the exact same calculation for the Summer of Love 2020? No, of course not. Sports Illustrated has stories to run. Remember, that's Sports Illustrated, SI. They're supposed to focus on sports, but yet they're running coverage for the institution. Not long after, Jack Del Rio issued an apology on social media for what he said. I made comments earlier today in reference to the attack that took place on the United States Capitol on January 6, 2021. Referencing the situation as a dust-up was irresponsible and negligent, and I'm sorry, but I don't take back anything I say. Commanders coach Riverboat Ron Rivera, I wish I was making that up, also fined his defensive coordinator $100,000, which the team said it would donate to the United States Capitol Police Memorial Fund. At least it's not going to Black Lives Matter, but still, fuck you, Ron Rivera. His comments do not reflect the organization's views. Do you know which team you work for? Okay. And are extremely hurtful to our greater community here in the DMV. Yeah, no, that's great. Rivera said in a statement, I could get really crass and crude when it comes to Ron Rivera, but I'll take the high ground on this, okay? I don't want to cause a dust up. But I wish that was the dumbest take, but unfortunately it isn't. We got Larry Summers over here blaming, okay, listen, okay, it's one of those things, it's like that Always Sunny in Philadelphia meme where Charlie Day has the red string and he's connecting different dots that are out there. This is Larry Summers going into overdrive, okay? Follow this one. Larry Summers blames banana Republicans. Get it? Because it sounds like a banana republic. It's so funny. He's so funny. January 6th for inflation. He's blaming the party that's completely out of power and January 6th for inflation. Okay, no. Run the numbers back, my guy, okay, because everybody else can. And this is CNN. Remember, that's one of the trusted names in news. You have to believe them because that's their tagline. Okay, cool. This is a story only fit for CNN Plus. During Sunday's broadcast of CNN's State of the Union, former Treasury Secretary Lawrence Summers said that banana Republicans, he's a fucking comedian. See, this is why the leftists will ultimately lose the culture war, because their comedians defected a long fucking time ago. And the events of the January 6th Capitol, in the words of Jack Del Rio, dust up, had contributed to the inflation underway in the United States economy. Sorry, bud. Summers said, we should focus on what's important, not raising... actually, I agree with that first part of that statement. We should focus on what's important. It's got nothing to do with these show trials. Not raising input prices for American producers, so they're less competitive. Okay, which is what much of these tariffs do. I disagree, but all right. What? Then again, I'm not a former Treasury Secretary under the Obama administration, the Clinton administration. Like, what are we talking here? Yeah, it was Clinton administration. Go figure. But the economy was pretty good under Clinton, so this guy should actually, he should know better. He should, but he doesn't. Of course not. Instead, we should be focusing on things that allow the leakage of key technologies to China and the like. Yeah, no, you can walk and chew gum at the same time. That's a good point, but again, we should pass at long last some kind of legislation. Ooh, I don't like where this is going. Ideally on a bipartisan basis that would raise the vastly excessive Trump tax cuts. Oh, great. Get rid of tax cuts because that always works to stimulate an economy. What's that Winston Churchill quote? Government trying to tax itself into prosperity is like standing in a bucket and trying to pull yourself up by the handle. It doesn't work. Join the world in taxing corporations. Yeah, because that works well for other countries, because as soon as you start to tax companies, they'll just move their headquarters to places that have lower taxes. If you want to resuscitate the flailing economy, you want to incentivize economic growth. I can't believe I have to lay this out for a former Treasury Secretary. Anyways, take down prescription drug prices. Trump did that with an executive order, and on day one, Joe Biden revoked said executive order. Don't believe me? It's in the papers. It was one of the first things that Joe Biden did, okay? Trump enacted an executive order to lower the price of insulin. It was something that he did. It didn't get much fanfare because the media is the media after all. And Biden, just because it had Orange Man's signature on it, he just sat, well, to be fair, he probably didn't choose what he just signed. They just showed up with a big binder and he just thought he was writing thank you cards to his grandkids. So he just kept fucking signing. And that was one of the things he signed to rescind that executive order. Because why? Orange Man bad. All of that would operate to reduce inflation. No, it wouldn't. No, it fucking wouldn't. You raise the taxes on corporations. They leave the United States. Fewer people are in the workforce. Then you try to tax more people. They're disincentivized to work. You're just creating a self-fulfilling prophecy of fucking failure. This is what you did to set up the economic collapse. All of you dumb motherfuckers. These are the exact same people that drove the economy into the ground in 2008 and 2009. And yet, here we are again, taking their fucking advice. It's like bringing back all of the promoters. I'm going to make a wrestling analogy here for a minute, okay? You remember when wrestling was hot for like a 2-year span in the fucking 90s, okay? Those are the same people that continue to get fucking work. Take a look at the upper echelons of the book booking department in the Fed right now. It's the same fucking group of failures that, oh yeah, it worked. It was the company was real hot in the late 90s and up until about the beginning of 2001, where everything fell off of a fucking cliff. Okay. Oh, they had really good ideas. No, they ran on the back of two incredibly hot superstars. Okay. Outside of that, just remember the rest of the card. It was in fucking shambles. But guess what? Oh, they were working during the Attitude Era. Therefore, they have all the best ideas, and we just continue to recycle all of these fucking cretins that couldn't run anything else. Okay, the only guy who's successful that wasn't working in that time is running his own successful company where people actually want to go work. Fuck's sakes. It's running back these same fucking failed idiots just because, oh, we have experience of fucking everything up. Anyways, summer's added. Let's get back to this. This has been tangent fodder, but I love it. I love it. Anyways, summer's added. If I can step out of my area for 1 sec, you have been this entire time, you fucking fossil. I think they're the banana Republicans who are saying that what happened on January 6th was nothing or okay are undermining the basic credibility of our country's institution that in turn feeds through for inflation, because if you can't trust the country's government, why should you trust its money? Oh, why do you think they went to the Capitol that day? Because they don't trust the government. And then you keep trying to gaslight people who are old enough to have lived through January 6th, 2021. As Sports Illustrated said, 4 people died that day. I remember when the death total was also 10 people died that day. And then they started to pare it down as the days went on, and then realized that we can't really attribute anybody except for Ashley Babbitt. But yeah, we don't really want to talk about her because she's a dirty Trump supporter and she got exactly what we believe she deserved. So yeah, nobody died specifically, but they didn't trust the government. Why? Because the government lies to you, and then you just feed them this helping, heaping, serving of horseshit and tell them to just drink it down and don't think the government has the best things in mind for you. Shut up and don't fucking question. That's why we're taking your guns away, even though we aren't. We're just putting in sensible gun control measures. And then we're also working on restricting free speech. And hey, don't worry, you can sound off on social media platforms until we decide to drop the ban hammer. And then guess what? Oh, you can still have your free speech inside your 4 walls until we start to, do the third-party recording of where you're going with your cell phone and then start to tag you on to our NSA watch list. Oh, damn, Edward Snowden. We'd get him out of Russia if we could extradite the motherfucker for leaking that. You're right. A healthy distrust of the government probably is bad for the people in the government, and that is fucking great. Because if you just bend over and grab your toes for the government, you want to see that in action? Take a look at all of the fucking NPCs that permeate all of social media. Oh, the orange man is so bad. Why is he so bad? Yeah, but then at the same time, you'll fucking prop up that geriatric fucking dementia patient who doesn't even know what state he's in. Gave a speech in California over the past weekend, and it's so nice over here in Delaware with all the Somali cab drivers, and Corn Pop was a bad dude. All you motherfuckers can get fucked. You don't know what the fuck is going on with the economy. If you did, you'd fix it if you cared. But then at the same time, I'm skeptical of the government because I have a good inclination that they do know exactly what's going on. But hey, there's an election at the end of the year, and any crisis is a crisis not worth wasting. With all of that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.